Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So on Unfortunate Love on Z World, they've gotten to where Malishka and Rishi are sitting down for their engagement, and immediately after the engagement they are going to get married. But Shalu, Bani and Ayush are provoking Rishi into confessing his love to Lakshmi. So let's start from there. Neelam comes to Lakshmi's room. She breaks the glass intentionally and she asks Lakshmi if her dream broke just like this glass after hearing that Rishi and Malishka are getting married today, and says that dream that you were saying that you want to keep Rishi in your hands, and says bad people's dream don't get fulfilled. Neelam says to Lakshmi that Malishka loves Rishi a lot, and that is why Malishka is marrying Rishi even after your conspiracies. She says, I cannot bear that Rishi agrees to your sayings than me, and says, I understand you so well, and my own son couldn't see that you are corny. Lakshmi says, I respect you a lot, and I regard you as a mother. She says, if you know me, then it is good, but I don't want to come between Malishka and Rishi. Lakshmi says to Neelam that I have left Rishi even when he did not want to divorce me. She says, I did not come here by myself, but you had brought me here by getting me married to Rishi, and you made me as your daughter-in-law. Lakshmi says, I left from here after knowing the truth about your conspiracy, but you brought me back here to save your son's life. Lakshmi says to Neelam that I have understood your motherly love for your son, but I did not understand what you did with me by keeping me in the dark and getting me married to your son. Lakshmi says I don't keep Rishi in my thumb, and says relationships are kept in the heart, and I know this, but you don't, and Neelam is shocked. Rishi gets ready in the marriage dress and he recalls Neelam's words that he should get married to Malishka and throw Lakshmi out from his life and out of the house. Rishi thinks that Lakshmi cannot stay here after my marriage and then we will be separated. He thinks that Lakshmi did not accept my love, and maybe it is because I don't have her in my destiny, not her love and not her support. Ayush comes to Rishi and asks that why are you sad when you should be happy? He says you should be happy to marry the love of your life, Malishka, and then why are you not happy? Ayush asks if Rishi loves someone else and he is marrying someone else, and that is why he is sad. He asks if Rishi loves Lakshmi, and Rishi says no, he doesn't love Lakshmi. Ayush asks Rishi that if you don't love Lakshmi, then why are you sad? Ayush says I should be happy that you are getting married, but I am sad that Lakshmi will be leaving the house after your marriage, and Rishi looks on. Lakshmi says to Neelam that I cannot think even in my dreams that Rishi will leave Malishka and marry me. Neelam says it is good for you, then why are you telling me? And says don't think that Rishi will marry you because I will not let you marry Rishi. Lakshmi says to Neelam that if you don't understand me even till now, then I will leave the house right now, and Neelam looks on. Ayush says to Rishi that I got confused, but after seeing the other angle, I thought you love Malishka, and says I don't know if you really love Malishka or Lakshmi. Neelam says to Lakshmi that Karishma is very much right about you, and says you want to leave the house right now so that Rishi doesn't marry Malishka. Neelam says you can fool my family members, but you cannot fool me. She says I don't regard you suitable for any relationship. You are inauspicious and unlucky. Wherever you go, you will take your inauspiciousness along, and says today is Rishi's marriage, so I don't want to say all this. Ayush says to Rishi that you do so much for Lakshmi's sister-in-law and you go against Neelam auntie for her. He says that is why I got confused, thinking that maybe if you are not marrying your love and you are marrying Malishka whom you don't love. He asks him to help him and says I am very confused because why are you sad? Ayush says to Rishi that you love Malishka and you are getting married to her, then why are you sad? He asks if Rishi doesn't love Malishka, then will you go out and tell Lakshmi that you love her and you don't love Malishka? He asks if Rishi will say that he wants to marry Malishka even though he doesn't love her, and Rishi looks on. Neelam tells Lakshmi that today, if this marriage doesn't happen, then my anger will be such that you will not even get the chance to regret. She asks Lakshmi to get ready and come to her room. She says if you had known about relationship and where to keep relationship, whether in your hand or in your heart, then you wouldn't have come here in the first place. And she asks her to get ready and come to her room, and she goes, while Lakshmi cries and she bends down picking the broken glass pieces. Ayush says to Rishi that if you don't ask Lakshmi to marry you, then she will leave. He asks Rishi to be honest, and he asks him to ask his heart what he wants and then take decision with full honesty. He says, brother, I will leave. Ayush asks Rishi and he goes away from there while Rishi gets hairy eyes. Lakshmi comes to Neelam's room after getting ready. Neelam says, you have done so much in the house and for us, and today you have to become my reflection and do my work. Grandma says to Virendra that we should go and get ready for the fake marriage so that nobody will realize that we don't want this marriage to happen. Virendra says that they have to tell Rishi that he loves Lakshmi, and Grandma says yes. Neelam says to Lakshmi that you have to become my reflection and says I am shocked because I am asking the girl whom I hate so much to be my reflection, and says I have to drink this poison to cut whatever ties you have with my son, and says I told you not to come back here after your divorce but you came back, so until this marriage happens then you should be with me. Lakshmi says to Neelam that what if father or grandma calls me? Neelam says you should not go anywhere and she should refuse because she wants to be seeing her throughout the marriage function, and says I will make sure that you don't leave until the marriage is done, and says immediately after the marriage you should leave and I will forgive all your sins. She asks, did you understand? And Lakshmi nods that yes. Virendra says to Grandma that if Rishi doesn't confess his feelings to Lakshmi, then Lakshmi will go far from him. Shalu says we will go and light up brother-in-law's mind. Ayush comes there and says he has confronted Rishi of his feelings, and now Rishi will start thinking about what he said to him. Virendra and Grandma appreciate him, and Sonia hears him and thinks that so a big conspiracy is happening, and she thinks to hear them fully. Grandma asks Ayush, Shalu and Bani to go and win Rishi's heart completely, and Sonia thinks that I will not let them go. Ayush asks Shalu and says all the best. Shalu says full and she leaves to also go and talk to Rishi. Grandma says to Virendra that Rishi should understand that he loves Lakshmi at the earliest, because if Rishi marries Malishka, then he cannot be happy and he cannot keep Malishka happy too. Virendra says to Grandma that Lakshmi would also be sad all her life if Rishi eventually marries Malishka. Ayush says we should do devotion to God. Grandma says devotion and says it is prayer, and they fold their hands and pray. Neelam comes to the hall and says the priest did not come till now. Lakshmi is following Neelam and Kiran comes there. Neelam greets Kiran. Kiran hugs her and says it is good that you are getting the marriage done today. She asks that what is Lakshmi doing with you? Neelam says Lakshmi is in my control and I am keeping my eye on her so that she doesn't go to Rishi. Kiran says it is good that she is in your control. Neelam says she wants her daughter Malishka to marry Rishi, and today Malishka will marry Rishi. Bani and Shalu see Sonia standing outside Rishi's room, and Sonia pushes them and stops them from going inside. Shalu says we want to talk to brother-in-law. Sonia says your brother-in-law is not here. Shalu says we have come to talk to brother-in-law for Grandma's work. Sonia asks what is the work. Shalu says to get my sister married to Rishi, and Sonia is shocked and says your sister's marriage with Rishi. Kiran says to Neelam that she wants to see Malishka ready as the bride and she goes to her room. Neelam says to Lakshmi that now everyone is happy and you were busy ruining many people's happiness, and says once Rishi and Malishka get married, then you will be out of this house. Sonia is surprised at Shalu and Bani's gods, and she asks that what do they want to do. Bani asks Sonia to slap Shalu and says Shalu wants Rishi to marry Lakshmi. Shalu and Bani try to confuse Sonia, and Shalu tells Sonia that Grandma has selected another guy called Rishi for Lakshmi, and that is why they want to talk to this Rishi about that Rishi. Sonia gets confused and asks that what is Shalu and Bani saying. Bani asks Sonia to come and hear them, and they bring Sonia inside Rishi's room. Rishi is in the room thinking that once he marries Malishka, then Lakshmi is going to leave him and go away from the house, and Shalu and Bani comes there along with Sonia. Bani tells Rishi that Shalu is saying that she wants their sister to marry Rishi. Sonia says they are talking about some other Rishi who is living in America. Shalu says I have accepted that Rishi as my brother-in-law now, and Bani also says brother-in-law should approve America Rishi because Lakshmi will be happy with him. Shalu tried to make Rishi jealous and says this Rishi brother-in-law will not marry our sister, and Bani says I thought that Rishi brother-in-law loves our sister because they have saved each other many times, and I felt that they should marry. Shalu says brother-in-law is marrying Malishka and our sister will be marrying that other Rishi, and she will go to America after her marriage. Rishi asks Shalu and Bani that why will Lakshmi go to America? Shalu says that other Rishi is in America and says that Grandma said that she will send me his photo. She tells Rishi that Grandma said that a relative called her and asked about a good girl. So Grandma suggested Lakshmi's name because nobody is suitable for the American Rishi other than Lakshmi. Rishi says nobody is suitable for me too other than Lakshmi, and Sonia is shocked while Shalu and Bani smiles. Shalu tells Rishi that a guy called Rishi is Grandma's faraway relative from America and says the relative asked Grandma to tell them about a very good girl and says who else is good than Lakshmi for Grandma. She asks Rishi if there is any girl that is important than Lakshmi. Rishi says for me also, there is no girl that is good other than Lakshmi, and Shalu and Bani get happy. Bani says to Rishi that the America Rishi got lucky because he will get married to my sister Lakshmi. She says, I thought that you will marry Lakshmi, but you did not. So I should stop calling you as brother-in-law. And from now on, I will call you Rishi Obre, and I will call the American Rishi as Rishi brother-in-law. And Sonia says to Shalu and Bani that nobody is nobody's brother-in-law here. Bani says to Rishi that I thought that you love my sister, but you have broken my heart. She searches for something. Sonia asks, what are you searching for? Bani says, I'm searching for proof. She gets Rishi and Lakshmi's marriage album and says brother-in-law has kept the album safe till now because he loved Lakshmi even till now. So it means that Rishi and Lakshmi would never be separated. Sonia says to Shalu and Bani to stop dreaming and says Rishi and Lakshmi are divorced now. Bani says my sister has given Rishi divorce. Shalu says divorce is divorce. Bani says Rishi might love Malishka and that is why he is marrying Malishka. She says Grandma has searched for a good guy who is having the same name Rishi for Lakshmi and says now their sister cannot refuse to Grandma. Shalu also tried to make Rishi realize his love for Lakshmi and says brother-in-law doesn't love my sister, and she asks Sonia if this is true. Sonia says yes, Rishi doesn't love Lakshmi. Shalu says if Rishi had loved my sister, then he would have proposed to her. Sonia says Rishi loves Malishka and that is why Rishi divorced Lakshmi. Bani says I thought wrong that Rishi loves Lakshmi, but it doesn't, so that is why we should get Lakshmi married to that America Rishi. Shalu says we did not ask that America Rishi and says he will love and respect Lakshmi. Sonia says even mom doesn't refuse to Grandma's sayings, so it is good that Lakshmi will marry one America Rishi so that she will go away from their lives. Rishi asks Shalu and Bani if Lakshmi agreed to marry the America Rishi. Shalu says my sister cannot refuse Grandma and says I am happy that you are marrying Malishka and my sister is also marrying the America Rishi. Bani says I will be happy if you had married my sister and Sonia asks them to go away from there. Bani continues to play an emotional game and says we cannot come to this house again now after Rishi and Malishka's marriage. Shalu says that America Rishi will love my sister. Bani asks if they will go to America to check and says how can we say this? Shalu says it is destiny and says we should call brother-in-law as Rishi Obre and we should remember that he will not express his love to our sister. Sonia asks Shalu and Bani to go away from there and Bani and Shalu says bye Rishi Obre and they go away from there after messing with Rishi's mind. Neelam calls the priest and asks him to come. Karishma asks Neelam why Lakshmi is sitting here. Neelam says today Rishi and Malishka's marriage should happen and Lakshmi will stay with me throughout. Neelam says to Karishma that she has kept Lakshmi in front of her so that no order will come in their way because Lakshmi might run away from the house and Rishi will run after her and stop the marriage. Karishma says good idea and says I have asked Sonia and Sonal to keep an eye on Mom, Ayush and Virendra because they might also be planning something. Sonia comes there and tells Karishma that she heard Shalu and Bani saying that Grandma has searched for a guy for Lakshmi. Grandma comes there. Karishma asks Grandma if she got a guy to marry Lakshmi. Grandma says that she will get Lakshmi married to Rishi and says the Rishi is in America. Neelam says America and says it is good that Lakshmi will go abroad. Lakshmi asks Grandma that what are you saying? And Grandma asks Lakshmi to come to the room and talk to her. Neelam says Lakshmi will not go anywhere and says after the marriage, then you can take Lakshmi to your room. She says she doesn't want any Odu to come into the marriage and says that the priest has just come and she asks Lakshmi to come with her. The priest comes there and says to Neelam that you have kept the marriage for today. Neelam says yes and she asks the priest to do the arrangement. Kiran tells Malishka that she is very happy today. Malishka says she is worried because Lakshmi is still here. Kiran says Neelam has taken Lakshmi in her control, and she asks Malishka to calm down and says today you will marry Rishi. In the room, Rishi looks at Lakshmi and his marriage photo album and he gets emotional. Malishka comes there and snatches the album from his hand. She asks that what is he seeing? Rishi says I am seeing you and my marriage dream. Malishka asks really and says that Rishi has seen the dream after a long time and says she is ready for the marriage. Malishka says to Rishi that she is very happy today. First, she was tensed when Vikrant said that she is involved with him and says that she is not mad to spoil her own function and says she knows that Rishi cares for Lakshmi and he will leave the function if something happens to Lakshmi, so she will never plan something like that with Vikrant. Malishka says to Rishi that today is Lakshmi's last day here and she asks Rishi to throw the wedding album away and says we will make our own album. She says we should go together and she click photos with Rishi. Shalu and Bani comes to Grandma and says that they have done the work. Bani tells Grandma that Sonia heard them when they were talking to Rishi and Virendra asks Grandma to see that Neelam has done all the arrangement for the marriage. Abe thanks Neelam for getting the marriage done so quickly. Malishka and Rishi comes downstairs. Shalu thinks that come on brother-in-law, express your love to my sister. Bani thinks that brother-in-law, if you don't say it now, then you will not get a chance again. Ayush thinks that just do it man. Rishi's inner self tells him that today is the last day for him to confess his love to Lakshmi and he asks him to go and tell Lakshmi how much he loves her. Rishi recalls Lakshmi asking him not to tell anyone that he loves her and asking him to give her swear. Lakshmi is behind Neelam everywhere she goes. So now says to Malishka that you and Rishi are the best couple. Malishka says we will compensate for the missed time and we would enjoy our lives so much that people will watch. Abe takes off bad side from Rishi and Malishka and he gives the money to Mukesh to give it to the poor and says that the marriage should happen today. Kiran says our names get ruined when the function stops earlier, but now everything is working well. Abe asks them to marry and be happy all their life, and Malishka says nobody can stop our marriage today. Karishma asks Rishi and Malishka to sit in their place, and they sit on the sofa. Lakshmi looks at Rishi, and Rishi also looks at Lakshmi. Neelam asks the priest to make Rishi and Malishka get God's blessings first before the marriage, and says today this marriage should happen. She asks Malishka and Rishi to go to the priest and take the God's blessings, and Rishi and Malishka goes away from there. Grandma tells her teammates that if Rishi passes the test today and confesses his love to Lakshmi, then they would also pass today, and Ayush says Rishi will pass the test. Rishi recalls Shalu and Bani's marriage talk, and he imagines his marriage with Malishka while Lakshmi is standing with someone else. The priest asks Malishka to keep the flower in front of the god and the goddess, but the flower keeps falling down as Malishka is keeping it. Malishka asks if God is not blessing her. The priest collected the flower and keeps it and says take the blessings now. Malishka says we should take the blessings now and says now we would exchange the ring and we will marry and then nobody will come between us. Sonia tells Sonal that Grandma is getting Lakshmi married to someone else. Sona asks, are you sure? And says Grandma must be planning something because Lakshmi comes first for Grandma and she can never send her away with anyone else. Malishka asks Rishi to smile for her and Rishi fake smile. Ayush comes there and asks Rishi to say I love you and says you love and you realize it also, then you should confess it. Malishka thinks that Lakshmi's puppet has taken a turn today and he is asking Rishi to say I love you to her. Meanwhile, Ayush was stylishly reminding Rishi to confess his love to Lakshmi. Malishka says to Ayush that Rishi will say I love you to me whenever he likes. Ayush says this is the last chance because this ambience, the marriage day and the time will not come again, and he asks Rishi to say it and he goes. Malishka asks Rishi to say those 3 magical words, which is I love you, and says you did not say it since so many months. She asks Rishi to make the moment memorable and tell her I love you, but Rishi is silent. Neelam asks Sonia to call the priest so that they can start the engagement, and Sonia says okay. Sonia comes to Malishka and tells her that her marriage rituals will start now, and Malishka smiles. Shalu comes to Rishi and says you are marrying Malishka and my sister will get married too to the America Rishi, and says I am happy for you and for my sister too because you both are getting married to different people. Shallow says bye Rishi Obre, and Rishi looks on in shock. Okay guys, so I know this was yesterday's episode, so I'm going to post today's episode and tomorrow's episode today, so please watch out for that. Thank you so much guys for watching, and I will see you all again in my next video. Bye guys.